Da-da-da. Right. Should be starting now. All right. God, people are complaining. Massive. Right.
People wouldn't do that.
We're pretty close to me, aren't we? We go back. There we go. Okay. Right. How are you feeling, Jack and Rob? You good?
Yeah, all good.
Spanner's too high.
You're always too high.
Span
With your Iron Man brain headphones.
I'm just gonna not use that one.
How's everyone in the chat doing? No video, really? I'm pretty sure you have it now. I can see me. Okay.
Make it red to be game debate color.
You always have to be different, Rob. Fucking hell.
Sorry. It's Google's fault.
Alright, people are saying we've got sound and video, which I hear is
Cool.
the best way to do it.
Let's go, Tim.
We can go once I know what the hell we're talking about on my notes. Yay! Are you?
Someone's very happy that I'm here. No, just so I can sing.
Are you gonna sing today, Rob?
No, still no singing.
You should definitely sing. It's Halloween. Sing a Halloween song. It'll be.
Thanks for liking the curtains there. They're antique, I guess.
What about a rendition of Spooky Scary Skeletons? That one always gets my blood going.
I don't know that.
It's a classic.
Not my choice of curtains. I just want to point that out. They were here already.
I have too many passwords, so there we go. But,
Yeah, the GD link is saying that it's over on the Game Debate website.
we're saying we're over.
Yeah, because I saw that and people in the chat
People
saying
are
that.
saying that.
I'll send an email to Felix in a second. There we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, Rob, sing. Everyone's saying sing in the chat.
No,
I don't know why you're not.
No. You could always just start.
Give the people what they want, Rob. They pay our bills. They keep the podcast going. Without them, we're nothing. You need to sing.
I'm grateful for them being here, but it's for their benefit that I don't sing.
Oh, I need to sign out. I'm scared if I sign out of this account. I'm just gonna do it incognito. So I store my notes on Google Drive, but like my notes are also. I also have different calculators.
Don't worry about it. No, it's just wing it.
I can't remember what we're introing. What day is it? Easter?
You know who we are.
Is it Easter? It is.
Yeah, it's Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already know who we are.
Okay, cool. Sorted. Ready. Let's have a drink first.
Everyone's appreciating our beards. Thank you. Very kind.
It's just taken years to grow this.
I feel left out now. But you do look a bit homeless though, a bit more homeless than me.
And that's the dream. It instills confidence in people when they hear me talk, so they're not threatened by me.
Doctor Who theme. I need to research the Doctor Who theme.
Oh, I forgot my Halloween costume as well, because I've been in such a rush.
Oh, what happened to the axe?
It's
there we go.
stuck in my brain. This is so bad. This is like reduced. This is reduced. It's not going to stay up, is it?
Well, here's a hashtag I think we can get behind, guys. Hashtag Jacques Swagbeard.
Okay. This is such a bad hat.
You kind of just look like Eminem.
Oh, right. There we go. Now that looks so bad, doesn't it? No wonder it's reduced. Fucking hell. Anyway.
It's terrible.
I didn't want to say anything. I was trying to think of something nice to say.
When you axe someone in the head, it tends to just hang off.
Yeah.
Okay. So this wasn't last minute. This was like a lot of time and thought put into this hat. but I think we should go anyway. Cool. Right. Okay. Do I have the chat? Okay. So, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's the 4th live game debate podcast. Your weekly fix for gaming news. I have this really annoying hat on. I might just take it off. Like, this is just pissing me off a bit now. And yeah, my name's Tim, and I'll be your host the next few hours. As you probably guessed, this week is Halloween, so I thought I'd try and get everyone to wear a costume and wear some hats and stuff. But I can see that everyone's enthusiastically gone about that with as much enthusiasm as I am, and you've not really done anything. Rob still has his Iron Man headphones then, so it looks
I
like...
have a Spider-Man outfit, but I can't breathe in it. It's not fair.
Spider-Man doesn't have a beard though, does he?
How do you know?
How do you know?
How do you know who Spider-Man is? It's a secret identity, bro. Come on now. And actually, Kane had a beard in the 90s, so, and he's technically Spider-Man.
I don't think he has a...
So when Spider-Man and Wolverine travel through time together, he grows a beard then. Yeah, so, you know.
No. And Rob,
No.
you're just as bad, if not worse.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't normally wear hoodies, so this is a bit of a costume. And Iron Man.
Are you dressed as scum?
Yeah.
Cool. Alright, sounds. So, as I thought that this week we would have Halloween costumes on, I did have a bit where we could talk about each other's costumes and maybe, have a bit of banter about that, but no one else has tried, so I guess we'll skip.
Right, fine. I'll see if I can breathe in it.
Have you actually got a Halloween costume?
No, I don't.
I bet everyone.
No, I do, but let's well, maybe I'll go put it on later. Maybe Spider-Man will make a guest appearance.
I'm waiting for it. If he's not on by the end, I'll be disappointed.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So this week, as it's Halloween, I thought before we do anything, and like last week, we start off with a bit of a competition. So everyone loves a bit of horror games. So this week, the competition is, what we want to do is, I'm going to ask you guys a question, and basically the first person to answer it in the chat will win another copy of Shogun 2, which, if you look at some game sites, is actually rated as one of the top games available on PC at the moment, so I think that's pretty cool. We give away good games here, good prizes. Rob, you don't play Shogun 2, do you?
No,
Yeah.
I'm afraid not.
You're a fan? You play Total War games?
I'm a massive fan of Total War, but I've only watched Shogun, I haven't played it.
Well, Jack, you can't enter this as well. Even though you could do, I guess.
How do you know I haven't already?
Maybe. Get ready in the chat. But if you could try not to Google, even though I can't really enforce that, so if you do Google, then just go ahead. But the question is today, I think it's quite a good one, I found. So, what game was originally intended to be Resident Evil 4, but was later released as a completely separate game?
Should get like a countdown sound effect here, I think.
Rob, sing a countdown sound. Sing the countdown theme, Rob. That'd be good. I don't know if anyone will be able to guess this. I think it's quite difficult.
I'd never even heard of this being a thing.
Yeah, I googled one. If you search the question, it might be on the first page of Google. But,
I've got Resident Evil 3.5, which
that's almost 4.
I guess that is, yeah.
Amnesia, no. Halo, no.
Good guess.
It's a free game. It's just for Shogun 2, the best of the Total War series, wouldn't you say, Jack?
I'd say it's pretty damn up there.
Yeah, the best game. What game?
Someone said Revelations. Is that?
No.
No. Okay. I actually don't know either. So.
Get your Google out, guys. Come on. It's not that hard, I think.
Got a guess of Revelations. Have we covered that?
What game is released by Capcom as well? That's sort of like Resident Evil, but not. And it came out around the same time as Resident Evil 4. This is a hard question, isn't it?
So did the game actually come out though? The other version?
Yeah. It's like a franchise now. So that game's had like loads and loads coming out. It's not Silent Hill. Clicker Heroes. It's definitely not World of Tanks, LK Gamer, Serbia. Is no one going to get this? If no one gets this, then I guess the
You can
price
just
would run over.
leave it up until someone gets it.
Yeah, but I'm not. I can't just follow the chat. It's not.
That's a lot of
It's
police in
not.
the chat.
It's a Capcom game. A Capcom game that was released ages ago. It's now like one of the most famous series. It has something about people crying in it, maybe. People don't know, do they? Or no one wants the game. No. Okay, so I'll repeat the question one more time. So the question is, what game was originally intended to be Resident Evil 4, but was later released as a completely separate game? No one's got any ideas, do they? Oh,
It's actually quite hard to find.
oh, is it? Oh, this is good. I've actually got like a paragraph I could talk about, which was no, it's not Tomb Raider.
Oh,
BT
Like the most logical
someone
searches.
just mentioned the best horror game ever made, which is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. That is my jam.
Devil May Cry, Lucas371. Yes, it's Devil May Cry. Oh no, Nilesh got it just before him. DMC, my bad. There we go. Nilesh, you win a copy of Shogun. Do you not think it could be Devil May Cry?
What?
I just don't know. That's confusing because when you picture Resident Evil, you don't picture Devil May Cry because they're kind of.
No, of course,
Not
that
the
was
same.
Capcom.
So I do have a little blurb on this.
But
So
that was-
go on, Rob.
That doesn't make sense because Devil May Cry came out before like Resident Evil 3 or 2. What?
No. So what happened was. The game is to focus on a protagonist called Tony, who had abilities and superpowers and stuff. And it was thanks to like a biogenetic virus, which was possibly developed by Umbrella. And like the previous game, unlike Resident Evil, it was in development around the same time, and the game was sort of intended to feature like pre-rendered backgrounds and like fixed angles, like Devil May Cry has now. However, they decided that the rendered background sort of ruined the game's feel and immersion, and so a 3D game with fully 3D rooms was developed. In the end, the producer and creator of the Resident Evil series, which was Shinji Mikami. He eventually felt that the game was veering like way too far from the root of the series and decided to convince Capcom the developers had to make it a standalone game instead, using a different title and with no connection to the Resident Evil series. The game was then released as Devil May Cry, spawning 3 sequels and a reboot, and 1 Resident Evil element stayed in the game, which was many of the Devil May Cry cast also ended up being in the Resident Evil games. So if you looked at like Dante, he was also mocapped by like the same guy who did Chris in Resident Evil 5 and 6. So there you go. As a fact of the day, is Devil May Cry. I think if you tune in here, we'll teach you things about games. I spend hours googling to find that question, and there you go. Did you find that interesting, Rob? Good. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Basic fact.
so to stick with our Halloween theme this week. So scary games have always been like a big staple of games. Horror games have always been awesome. My favorite game, I think, ever horror was Resident Evil 4. And I've always enjoyed the Resident Evil games, which is why I thought of put in that question as well. If you do read Game Debate, I also wrote a review on the Evil Within DLC, because the Evil Within, again, is like a definite one of my favorite games. I think it's because it's just a copy of Resident Evil 4, and anything that sort of copies that format is just good for me, and I hate change and playing new things and learning new things. So anything that's the same, bad graphics is always good for me. So before we continue again, here's another scary fact about a game. So I just bought a Nintendo 2DS, and I thought I'd get Pokemon because I thought it might, see if it had changed much. Bit disappointed. It hasn't changed much at all. Have you played like the modern Pokemon stuff? It's like absolutely identical to like Red and Blue, what it was then.
I've played all of them, and while I agree that the core gameplay is exactly the same, because who wants to come to a Pokemon game and not play a Pokemon game? It's actually so much more complex now and infinitely harder, I'd say, these days.
I don't know. I haven't wiped yet, and I've got like 3 badges, and like.
Just wait till you get to Elite Four, my son. They will
Okay.
shit on you.
You're giving me a reason to play now, which is good, because I've just been like, yeah. I hate like, I get to the first bit, and then I learn Cut, and I've got to learn Flush, and I've got to go through a cave, and it's like, oh, yeah.
That's a good question, which I want to repeat. Why 2DS and not 3DS?
So I did have a 3DS, but it got lost in the post when my parents sent it back to me when I moved house, and I didn't want to spend more money on a 3DS. And the 3DS was good. I thought it did look 3D, but like, it doesn't really add anything for me. Like, it doesn't justify an extra 40 quid.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you have a 3DS?
I do, yeah.
You should play.
Yes,
We should battle. We should battle Pokemon sometime as well, I think.
I will crush you like a bug.
So I've got.
Pokemon.
Do you play Pokemon, Rob?
I used to. I don't think I've had a Game Boy since the Advance, but yeah,
That's late. That's really late, man.
yeah.
Did you get an SP?
Not if that was after the Advance, no.
Oh, I thought you said prior. But never mind.
No, that was the most recent one I've had. Yeah.
So, keeping with the scary theme, I also have a scary fact about Pokemon, which is why I got onto Pokemon originally. So, do you remember Lavender Town in Pokemon?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if this is true or not, but I just want to think it is. So, back in 1996, when Pokemon Red and Green was released in Japan, it was there was apparently a massive correlation with a huge spike in suicides in children ages 7 to 12, and the children didn't fall ill or commit suicide until they reached Lavender Town in the game. So they said that the game's score from that music was said to sort of cause like weird, like sinister alignments in children, and the piercing tones of the music caused headaches and nausea, and eventually suicidal tendencies in young children. So before they released it in the West, they actually changed the music, and so they've changed it so people hopefully didn't commit suicide. And you can also, if you go on YouTube now and you find it, you can listen to the music that apparently made all these kids kill themselves. And I've no evidence to back any of this up, but
I'm pretty sure that's a 4chan creepypasta. Almost 100% sure.
It could be. You don't know. You never know these things, do you? Like,
Don't.
if someone takes the time to put it into a meme and put it on Facebook, like,
could be from real.
That's fact. You heard it here first, though. I think that's fact. I think that's real.
If you want to get spooked out, you listen to Lavender Town theme backwards. That's how you get the shit out of your body quickly.
I want to imagine like a load of people listen to it now and like all being really scared they're going to commit suicide. Oh, it could happen. So to kick it off, I thought we'd have a good chat about what games should people play this Halloween. So Rob and Jack. We'll start with Rob. So Rob, what is your favourite scary game or horror game, and why?
I was saying this to Jax earlier. It's really, I don't know. It's hard to pick one. I'm not a huge horror fan, but the ones which have had the most effect, I think, probably between Fear or Dead Space 1, just because they actually had jump scares in them which actually worked, which I quite enjoy, but I don't find games are able to do that very often.
I think Dead Space 1 was pretty terrifying. What was it again?
Yeah.
Fear.
The other game was Fear. Yeah, just because they both do little things which kind of throw you off guard, make you stop wondering when the next thing's going to jump at you, and then around about that time they make something jump at you. Okay. And yes, normally you get games which are quite obvious with the lead up of music or something stepping into the side, and you can kind of see it's unrolling. But in those games, they just appeared and scared the crap out of me every now and again.
So you like a bit of surprise in your games, Rob?
Yeah, I just find this. Huh?
Yeah, go on.
I just find it's rare that games actually pull that off successfully. They were able to. I think Fear was really good because it was one of the first games I remember which had a proper climbing mechanic. So you'd actually grab hold of the ladder, and then when you dismounted, you'd get off, you'd turn around, and it gave you a few seconds where you weren't in control. And I remember it was in those times every now and again that the little girl would pop up, you'd climb a ladder, you'd see she wasn't there, you'd get off, you'd turn around, and then she'd just appear, and I'd be like, the fuck did you come from? It's really good.
It sounds like a lot like Alien Isolation as well, because I had a lot of jump scares that I quite liked. You can play it on the Oculus Rift as well, which is pretty cool. God. Did you play any Alien Isolation, Jack, or any Fear? Wasn't Fear like an action game? So I remember playing like one of the later ones, and it was just like I had guns and like snakes coming out my arms. Was there something like that?
The Fear series really deviated from the horror and more into the action. Fear 1 was primarily a horror game, but yeah, I played Fear. But yeah, I mean, because you had guns and you could drop kick shit, I wasn't really scared, because if you allow me to drop kick something in a video game, I no longer am scared of anything. Like the Dying Light, that was supposed to be spooky. You can drop kick zombies. I'm happy. But no, I kind of got greedy. I couldn't decide on my favourite horror game. So I have 5. So Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, the Haunted House level. Never forget that shit. Could not sleep for weeks. Ravenholm from Half-Life 2, brilliant atmosphere. The lead up to it with all the dialogue really sets in the fear. Eternal Darkness on the GameCube. One of the first games I remember having an insanity meter, so as scary things happened, you start hallucinating, and that was really cool. And Condemned on the Xbox, I thought that was really cool. But no, my favourite horror game ever is Silent Hill 2. I just think it's perfect. The gameplay's a bit wank, and the dialogue's also a bit wank, and the voice acting is also a bit wank. But the atmosphere of the game and the lore is so involving and rich that when I got to the end of it, I had this immense feeling of satisfaction and connection to the characters, and I think that's what made it so scary for me, was that it was the whole game is based on monsters that manifest because of your demons, so your mental issues or things from your past. And there's this one bit where this woman's like crying, you hear in a room, you go in there, and there's like these two beds that are like body bags sewn into each other that like tries to rape you, I guess. And like you're playing this, and you like it is so scary. And one of my friends, he plays horror games, but he doesn't really get scared. You know, he's the kind of guy who will play a game and something will jump out at him, and he'll go, "Oh, am I dead then?" And you go, "Oh, okay." I lent him Silent Hill 2, and he got a third way through, and I got a text from him saying, "No, fuck that, nothing else."
I think Silent Hill 2 was one of those games which really sort of played off of the low specifications of the time, and I don't think that game would have worked so well if it didn't have the constant fog around you, which was needed because of the low draw distances, and just things like that really added to the atmosphere. Yeah, that was actually quite creepy back then.
God. And yeah, I never really played Silent Hill. I saw there was like you used to have to wear like a triangle, didn't you? There's a guy with a triangle head. Wasn't he like one of the main things?
Pyramid Head. He should only be in 2, and this is a big problem with the Silent Hill games, is they reintroduced him later. But the whole point of Pyramid Head is he is a manifestation of James's self-hatred, of his need to punish himself for what happened with his wife. And then when you see in other games, because Pyramid Head's really cool, it just felt a bit cheap when they'd introduced it as, this is for this guy only. Oh no, actually he's just a monster. I don't know. I'm a bit of a fanboy about that, honestly.
There's a thing in Bristol this week, and it's called Silent Hill Live. And what they've done is they go around the country and they play like music and stuff from it. And I know someone who went to see it this week, and they said it was really, really, really bad. And they apparently just played like, they had some DJs there. And is there like K-pop in Silent Hill, or like Japanese pop stuff, or like something like that?
I remember.
I can't remember what he said. I don't know anything about it, but apparently it was really shit. So if there's a Silent Hill concert coming near you, don't go and see it.
Avoid it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, chat's talking about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which I'm very happy about, because I thought no one would have heard of it, but it was this.
Heard of it. What is it?
So it was literally Deus Ex 1, but with vampires. You could choose your class. It was loads of customization, loads of dialogue, kind of little hub, explorable areas with quests. But there was this third level where you get asked to go to a house, and you go in there, and it's haunted. But the whole game isn't really that scary. I mean, it's kind of horror themed, but this level in particular, it's just so clever the way it never lets you become comfortable. So when you finally sort of get like an idea of the layout of the house, with all this like stuff breaking and stuff, it tells you to go upstairs. And as you go upstairs, the stairs break and you get dropped into these dark, narrow corridors. And then as you're going down there, you look right and you just see someone run past down the other end of the corridors and stuff. And it was just used all these different techniques to really fuck with you. And it took me 3 hours to play through it because I kept having to leave the game and just go out into the daylight and talk to people.
What is so how old was it? How long ago did that come out?
Wow, it came out a long time ago. I couldn't tell you the year off the top of my head, but it's quite a dated game. But what's really interesting is it's got such a fan base that people are still releasing updates for it. I think the last update came out like about 8 months ago or something. And yeah, it is a really great game. Like one of my favourite games of all time.
Cool. Okay.
McAlvin for life. If you want shit to get crazy, then yeah.
Did you play this game, Rob?
I'd never heard of it until today.
No. I think I saw like a Let's Play of it like years ago of people just like, yeah, it's like really weird graphics. Everyone's saying it's like a really good game. I couldn't really work out why. But
It's very dated. I'll give it that. That's true.
cool.
98. God damn.
98 what?
Someone
Wow.
in chat seems to think that it might have come out in 1998.
Wow. How old were you then, Jack? That was long ago. I don't think I was even like.
I don't think I played it when it first came out. I definitely played it when it had been out for a while, because I played it on Steam, but I probably played it like 7 years ago.
Okay. Cool. So.
Not on Steam back then, but yeah. It's on Steam now, boys, if you want to get involved.
So, I guess one thing. So my favorite horror game ever. I think I said before, but it was actually Resident Evil 4. So I remember I got that game from someone. It was like an old guy I know, and he used to live in America for quite a bit. And he said he was like, "Oh, I've got this game, and you know, if you want to play it, you have to also get this other like disc to go with it." It was on the GameCube, and I needed the other disc to unlock it because it wasn't released apparently in the UK. And apparently the American version was like way more violent, which I think I know I've grown up. I think American games they're less sex but more violent, and we're like more sex but less violence. I can't remember. One or the other. Apparently they censor one side of the Atlantic like differently. And so I bought this game off him, and he was like, "This is terrifying." He like really sold it to me as like the best game I'll play. And I got it, and I just remember that first level where you're walking down through to like a village, and this was like years ago before like all these like massive open world and cool games are now. And we were walking down, and there was a village, and you get out your binoculars, and you can just see like a couple of people like burning from a stake, and just these zombie people walking around, and you don't know what to do. And once you walk into the town, then everyone starts attacking you, and you know it all goes crazy. You can like randomly somehow, I don't know if I did this by luck, but I always ended up running into the same house and then finding a shotgun on the side. And what always really stuck out for me is that I could really easily just miss that shotgun and just go through the game without it. But I never ever did. But after playing it a couple of times, you could actually progress through without getting that. And for me, it was just like probably one of my favorite games I ever played. Getting through it was so long. I think I got right to the end. You could kill bosses with like one rocket launcher, and then after that, like the games just seem to rear off hill massively and become a bigger and bigger like piece of shit ever. So there was Resident Evil 5 where you were like Chris and is it Naomi, that other girl?
That
and
game
she
was terrible.
like, and it became like really actiony. It was about co-op as well. I mean, I hate other people and I hate playing with other people as well. My games always better than me and they always make you feel bad. So I just want to play by myself and fail over and over again.
Not sure what you mean.
But yeah, so yeah, Resident Evil 4 was pretty good. I thought that was probably it was definitely terrifying. That the chainsaw still terrifies me. If you play Evil Within, by the way, they have all the same scares from Resident Evil 4 in. So you'll get the chainsaw
Do you think
guy.
Evil Within was scary?
Diego's saying in the chat.
Yeah.
If you looked over at the chat, how unscary Resident Evil is, and I'm kind of agreeing with him. It seems more like an action game. It's not psychologically scary. The jump scares they try and throw in are really obvious, like, oh, that door's closed, all other doors have been opened. I wonder if something will jump out of that door. Oh, look, it was. It's kind of like a zombie action game. I don't think they've managed to get the horror in Resident Evil very well.
I think that Fear was exactly the same. But like the original Resident Evil 4 is like good. It's like that's a horror game.
I know Resident Evil 4 was a good game. I enjoyed it. I didn't jump at any point in it. It wasn't scary at all.
What?
You can always see what's happening around you. There's never a point when you can't work out what's about to happen.
You have balls of steel, Rob. You can't even you can't shoot and run in that game. You have to like stop. If a chainsaw guy comes, they come near you, you're just fucking dead.
But
They'll chop off your face. You can't shoot.
You just get to a good vantage point. Find one of the many ladders that are sprawled around, kick it down, stand up there, shoot down, safe, done.
No, that game is like a panic. Like I'd never have enough ammo. I'd never have anything. I'd never like be able to do anything. And I was constantly terrified of just dying. And it made me jump tons as well. Like what I felt in playing that game is absolute fear that every time anything happened, that I was probably going to die and not get through. And that terrified me. That was cool. I love that game. I like the little scary. Yeah, go on.
Did either of you play Soma or Amnesia?
I played Amnesia. Yeah, that was terrifying.
I watched a bit in Amnesia where the door was covered in some bloody pus stuff, and I was really bored by that point, so I didn't really get much further. I think that was about an hour into the game. I'd been
it takes a while. They spend a lot of time building atmosphere, and I think actually it's almost to the game's detriment at the start because I think it takes too long for the monsters to appear. But there's this you're right before it actually, Rob. There's this water area. And what was so scary about it, so you go downstairs, everything goes weird, and then it comes back up, and there's just water in there, but like knee high. And we all know when there's knee high water, we all know. We've played enough horror games. There's shit down there, and I spent ages just staring at the water, trying to see the monster. Finally gave up, and as soon as I walked down into the water, I could hear in the distance like sloshing, like something moving through it.
Right.
I was like, okay, and then I jumped up onto these little there's all these crates floating randomly in the water. So I jumped up on a crate, sloshing stops. So I thought, oh, maybe it's me. So I jump down in the water, start walking, and I'm like, no, there's definitely 2 sets of sloshing. So I stop, and the sloshing is coming around the corner. It's getting faster and faster, and then I just see these splashes coming towards me, and sort of once that happens, you're a bit freaked out, but obviously it's not too bad. It's then once you complete that area, the game just says in big letters, run. And you have to run through this water, like opening the doors with the amnesia mechanic, and, you know, I'm shutting them behind me because fuck that monster. And it was so good because you can't turn around and fight. You can't just whip out the shotgun or the magnum or whatever and blast in the face. You have to run, and you feel, you can hear it behind you, especially if you've got a headset on. And that to me was one of the best moments in a horror game, flat out, just because I was actually like screaming and sweating. My friends came over and they're like, it's okay, it's not real.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you mentioned that, because there you were like, oh, it's scary because I didn't have a gun, I couldn't shoot anything back. Whereas I was sort of the opposite opinion, like with Resident Evil, even though I had guns and stuff, that I was, I was scared. I still felt like I could die at any point. Do you? And in horror games now, I think like there's been that bit of a disconnect where you've got amnesia, where people hide and run and can't do anything or kill anything back, and that's scary. And there's the flip side of it with like Resident Evil, maybe the Fear games as well, where you can attack and kill things. What these creative differences? Do you think there's one better than the other, or do you think that because Rob, do you think that is a game where you can kill and attack enemies that are scary and it still be actually scary?
The thing that definitely takes away some of what used to make games scary is that feeling of helplessness that it gives you. You're there by yourself. It's more of a survival game. You versus the environment rather than you and your gun versus a horde of enemies that you can just shoot down. But I don't really get scared by a lot of games and films. I just can't seem to allow myself to get into that frame of mind. Which sucks, because I think I'd enjoy it if I could just remember that, stop remembering that it's just a game.
I think I know your problem, Rob. I reckon when you're about to play a horror game, you like get up there and you like get your blanket and you turn on all the lights and you maybe get like a teddy bear and you sit with it.
The teddy bear's at hand.
And then you get your girlfriend to come in and like stroke your beard as you're sat there playing, and you're like, oh, this isn't scary. Why would this be scary? And I just feel like you're sat there denying to yourself what's really going on.
I think I get hung up on what horror games seem to do is I get hung up on little things, and then that just breaks the illusion for me. Like when I was playing Outlast, which I unfortunately went all the way through and completed. But it just, I don't know how people can stay immersed in the game when you're being chased by this thing which is like a foot behind you. You run through a door, which is the only door in a room, jump into a cupboard, the thing follows you in and goes, where'd he go? He must have went out the door that I've just watched him walk into. I'll leave. It's like, well, now I'm not scared because I know that I can just hide in the cupboard and you're thick as shit. And instantly I'm like, well, that's just blown it. That's ruined it for me. I just find the cupboard. I'm safe. I've got nothing to be afraid of. I just seem to focus on little things like that.
Do you think if they made these things too smart, the games would just be far too difficult to play? Or like, do you think it'd be fun? Like, there's no
Maybe, but I mean, if you walk into like literally a room which has just one door, there's probably a good chance that if he watched you go in and didn't watch you go back out, you're still in that room. That level of AI might be good.
They need to make like a Dark Souls horror game, but like something.
Dark Souls is a horror game, bro. What the hell?
I still haven't played it. Yeah, I played the other ones. It was too difficult, and then I got frustrated and quit.
Yeah, that's why it's a horror game, because you like in horror games you're like, yeah, cool, this monster maybe is really powerful. In Dark Souls, as soon as you see a new enemy, you just start shitting yourself and trying to hide and watch it. I mean, I think Dark Souls 2 is like the best non-horror game. The scariest non-horror game, because obviously it's not literally horror, but Like, some of the things you see in that just creep me the fuck out.
I still need to play them. I thought they were more action RPG. I didn't realise that the horror element was meant to be any good in it.
One thing.
Dark Souls 1 is an excellent example of that. I think it's quite harsh calling them an action RPG because action RPGs you kind of think of like Diablo or Skyrim maybe, where it's really just kind of level up your weapons and smash face with them. In Dark Souls, it's more about movesets. So there's not that this weapon is in particular is better. It's that this weapon has this style of attack or this speed of attack, and you have to be so patient and careful. In games you just kind of attack as hard as you can with your best attack until they die. Yeah. In Dark Souls, if you do that and you run out of stamina, you can't dodge, and then the next move from the boss Dark Souls 2 is just a while ago released Scholar of the First Sin, and that's kind of like a Game of the Year, all DLCs, updated, remastered version of it. And I played a shitload of Dark Souls 2. So I go back to this, and what was really scary about this was the fact that they, as a returning player, they fucked with you especially. So there's one bit quite near the start where it's just a river with zombies, and there's a few that ambush you and stuff, and you're like, oh, whatever. And I go down to attack one of the corpses that I know is going to get up and attack me from playing the game over and over again, and it's not there. And I was like, oh, alright, cool. So I go down, I walk back, pick up an item, and some motherfucker drops on my head with an axe. And then as that happens, I run away, and then I suddenly realise there's a fucking giant ogre in the river. So I'm like, oh, it's okay. He's in a tutorial area too. I've done it. I know his moveset. It's all good. So I start fighting him. Oh, and then what does he do? He grabs me and instantly eats me and kills me. And
I think that's exactly what Dead Space 1 pulled off perfectly for me. Is that I remember actually jumping at it because the first time I walked into this room, I seen a corpse, and I was focusing on the corpse, thinking that thing's going to jump at me or still be alive or something. And I was focusing on that, and to the right of me was an air vent, and something just jumped out the vent. I was like, holy fuck, where did you come from? But then the next time I saw a vent, I was like, right, okay, I know that things can come out of that. I'm going to focus on that vent. Something's going to jump at me. I'll kill it first. And then something from a doorway or down the corridor to the left of me jumped at me instead. And I was like, shit, I wasn't expecting that again. So that sort of thing does work on me. But I think that's why I appreciate Dead Space so much, just because the jump scares worked.
Yeah. It's interesting with Dead Space and Dark Souls, because one of the things for me that really breaks immersion in horror games is so I was playing Bioshock for the first time, and I kept dying and kept in. But then, for me, almost like Dead Space as well. I think this is what Dark Souls does a lot better. Is once I realised that every time I die, I just appear like a minute back with full health and it's not some ammo.
It's not too big a deal.
There's no challenge to it at all. It's almost like I can run through the game because there's literally no consequence to me messing up anything throughout this whole thing. And that's my problem with Bioshock. But it sounds like Dark Souls does correct that. If I did brave it out a bit and didn't get my favour of having to learn new things, I need to get Assassin's Creed Syndicate thinking of that. But I need
your fear of learning new things, so you get Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Syndicate, you have a hook shot now, so you don't have to climb anymore.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So the game's easier now.
I get to play in London. Wow. I bet the city's not structured the same as every other city.
Dark Souls is brilliant, because not only so everything is based around the XP, so souls. So that's you level up with it. It's your currency, and when you die, obviously they drop where you died, and you have to go back and get them. But if you die on the way there, they disappear. But then I don't think that's even the harshest bit, really. What I think is really harsh is that when you die, you stop being human. You become hollowed and like a zombie, and that means you can't summon other players to help you against bosses.
Okay.
And every time you die, you lose a tiny percentage of your max health, so your health bar gets smaller and smaller until you become human again. And to restore that in Dark Souls 2 anyway, you have to consume this thing called a human effigy, but there's only a certain amount of that item that can be found through one playthrough. Okay. So you kind of have to accept, I'm just going to have to tough this out. And what becomes really scary about the game is you've been playing for half an hour, you haven't seen a checkpoint, you've got all these souls on you, you've just beaten a hard boss or something, and then something really stupid kills you. it was the fear in that game that anything could kill you. Like, people leave other people in the game, other players can leave messages to you, and sometimes the message says, "There's a weapon down there," and you go sick, and you run off, and you just instantly die because it was actually a cliff.
I did love that in Bloodborne.
I never played Bloodborne. How was it? Because obviously I didn't have a PS, but I was really sad.
It was alright. Yeah, I enjoyed the first half of it. Then it got very repetitive and samey. But I did love the whole message thing. I remember seeing one of the first ones that just said, "Look to the right," and as I looked up to the right, something was midway through jumping at me with a cleaver. I was like, "Fuck!" That was pretty cool. And yeah, being told about ambushes would make you very paranoid. It'd be like ambushes near. So you'd just be looking around for the next few steps you take, really wondering where they're going to come from. So that added some suspense and tension to the game. It was quite nice.
Yeah, I think I might have to pick it up now after hearing you guys talk about it a bit. But yeah, horror, Dark Souls.
Well, I've got a couple of other games. Just want to quickly honourable mention, if that's okay.
All right, I think we can keep talking about scary stuff as it is Halloween.
Fatal Frame, I've never played it, but I asked a lot of my friends to mention games they thought were really good in terms of scares.
Yeah.
And my friend mentioned this game. He said what was really scary about it was the fact that your weapon was something so passive. So in this game, it's all about taking photos of the monsters. And he said the fact that you were forced to stare at the horror rather than attack it or run away from it is what made it really scary.
Is it Dead Rising?
Yeah, exactly. Except for you're not really overpowered.
No.
And then I thought, Five Nights at Freddy's series. I think it's really interesting how that's gained an audience outside of gamers. The people who I've found had the most enjoyment out of 1 and 4 especially are people who've never played games really, because it's so accessible and simple. And yeah, in The Forest, terrible game. Would not recommend it, and it stops being scary after about 2 hours. But initially, it was what's so scary. We're playing it, we're running through the forest, and we hadn't really encountered the monsters yet. And we just kept seeing people, like enemies, sort of running just out of view distance. Like, so you'd see them and be like, "Oh, was that actually there?" And I remember I was staring into the forest, and I just heard a little thump next to me. I turned around, and there's just a dude, like some sort of weird zombie guy with bloody eyes, staring at me. And then as I'm staring at him, I just see in the distance, about 10 meters behind him, another one drop out a tree, and then another one to his left drop out a tree. And that moment was so good because it was just the way I was like, "Oh, is there a guy following us? Is there a guy following us? Oh, he's right next to me. Oh my god, they're dropping out the fucking trees."
I'm having a look now. It's actually on early. It's in early access, and it's on sale as well for Halloween. It's half price minus $1.50.
If you've got a friend
Makes sense.
and you want to get spooked out, and you've got a friend, give it a go. But don't expect longevity out of it because I think the game. There's a lot of games in the genre like Ark Survival Evolved and stuff, which I think do the base building mechanics to a greater extent.
It looks very pretty in the screenshots. The reviews are very positive, according to Steam. 90% of the reviews are positive. It does look quite good. I might get this. The forest looks brilliant. Eurogamer. Wow, thanks Eurogamer for your insights. Oh, it's made by 4 people as well. Yeah, that's definitely something.
I think there's not enough actual terror games anymore because when the Gothic genre came to the fore of literature, with like Mary Shelley and stuff, and Byron and Dracula, Bram Stoker, all that stuff, there was this real distinction between 2 types of horror. So there was horror, your gore, your bodies, your horrible creatures, your monsters, and then terror, which is sounds outside your window and a weird deathly smell. The anticipation of seeing that is kind of sort of terror is the anticipation of seeing a corpse, and horror is seeing the corpse. And I think that it's really nice to see recently a lot more games focusing on the terror aspect. So things like Soma, especially, I don't force you to see horrible things or gory monsters. It just kind of, like Dead Space, what was so good about that game for me was the music, the sound design. It was so sparse and empty. You felt so alone, but it had these tension wires and stuff that really gave you this feeling of unease. And I find that much more enjoyable than a jump scare or a monster jumping out at me, because yeah, that makes me jump, but I don't think that's scary. I get annoyed. I'm like, fuck you, I wasn't ready for that. Like, my cat makes me shit myself when I'm like sitting down and he runs across me. what really scares me is when I'm creeping through a corridor and I can hear something and my brain's just filling in the gaps. And I think that it's really cool to see that in horror games, and I hope that they do more of that.
I feel like one of my favorite moments of Dead Space was when you first like this like professor guy walks up to you, doesn't he? And like something bursts out of his chest, and he just like turns into like a crazy alien, or something attacks him and kills him. I just love that game. I love watching gory stuff. What's your favorite horror film, Jack?
That's tough. I love a lot of horror films. Recently, it's probably the Evil Dead remake. I thought.
Oh, really? I love that film. But
I thought it was
that's interesting.
spot on. I never really liked the original Evil Dead because they're too campy, and I thought this one it was so grim. But no, my favourite horror film of all time is a film called Martyrs. I don't know if you count it as horror particularly. It's films like Saw and Hostel, these kind of shitty, cheap. Oh, look how horrible this is.
I like Saw and
Martyrs is a
Hostel.
French film. Martyrs is a French film which did that idea, but not silly, if that makes sense. It wasn't over the top. It was really hard to watch. And we had this was about 3 years ago on Halloween. I got all my manliest dude bros over, and I was like, let's see if you guys can sit through Martyrs without making a noise. And I remember about 10 minutes in, every single one of them just squealed like little girls. Like, when a girl sees something horrible in like a horror film, they were like that through the whole thing. So if people want to see something really horrific and fucked up, watch the film Martyrs.
Or a Serbian film, I would also recommend. That's pretty dark.
I think it's terrible.
I told one of my friends to watch The Human Centipede for the first time because everyone gives A Human Centipede a bad name because they say, it's just like violent horror porn, whatever they call it. What's it called? Like gore porn. Whatever.
Torture porn.
Torture porn, that's it. But in Human Centipede, they actually don't show that much of them putting like. If you don't know what the Human Centipede, I'll just describe it quickly. So basically, as a doctor, this car breaks down outside, and this doctor has a dream where he wants to make a creature, and that creature then to make it has like one digestive system. So he sews the mouth to the arsehole of the person in front of him, and it's like 3 people, so they're all sewed like
absolute
mouth
brilliant
to ass.
cinema.
But the point of this though, right? So the first one, what's not scary is watching him do that. Because you don't really see it that much. What's scary is like when they're all crawling around the floor and stuff. He like cuts their muscles in their arms. They can't stand up. He refers to it as it. So imagine being part of this like 3-man like monster, and you're just constantly called it. And I think that like loss of like personality and like the loss of sense of self to become like this evil or just this thing for this crazy doctor is probably more terrifying if you're in the middle of that than like anything else. If you want to see torture porn, watch The Human Centipede 2. Because that basically is the same film. It's a film about a guy who watches it and is inspired by that film to then go and do it himself. And he has no medical training or anything, so he's there using like nails and stuff, and he does it with like 8 or so people, and it's absolutely horrific. I think someone gives birth while in the centipede, and like I'm not going to go any further, but it's pretty grim. Like I definitely recommend that if you want to throw up maybe or scare some children. Put it on your TV and put your TV by the window and just let people walk past and see it as they're going through.
I personally think that things like a Serbian film and Human Centipede aren't horrible. Like I watch it and I think this is like the retard vision of a 10-year-old. He's like a 10-year-old sat down and been like, oh, what if I sewed their bums to their mouths? And I'm there like, for real, dude? Like, have you seen what the plot of the third one is? An entire prison. Like
the third one, I had to turn off halfway through. Because like I just couldn't watch it anymore, but like
I think they're awful personally. No, I thought a really good horror film recently was one called Starry Eyed.
I haven't seen that.
It was I think it might be on Netflix, but it was so good because you just didn't know what was going on, and that's what I think makes a good horror film is when you just can't work out what the fuck is up. I don't want to say anything about it because people need to watch. But it's the kind of film you need to watch with no understanding of what happens. But I think that was really good.
All I get is Ellie Goulding when I Google Starry Eyes. Starry Eyes, is that what it's called? Yeah.
Starry Eyes or Starry Eyed, yeah, maybe.
Starry Eyed.
Came out 2014, I believe.
Yeah. How about you, Rob? Do you watch horror films? Or you don't, do you? You're not scared by anything, are you?
I shouldn't say not scared by anything, but I don't find them effective enough to make it worthwhile watching a film with such bad story. Generally, I liked The Japanese Ring.
Oh my god, don't, please.
Which
I've only
sounds
just
good,
stopped dreaming about it.
that one was genuinely, that was just weird.
The
Yeah, I've
Japanese
watched.
ring.
Yeah, it's weird.
Hearing that next to Human Centipede just puts horrible images in my brain.
Human Centipede, like Jack said, was just the deluded thoughts of a 10-year-old brought to a film, and it was poor. It was just boring. I did like. I don't know if it counts as horror. I did watch something called The Fourth Kind, which was kind of like a film documentary thing based on people who had had alien interactions, but they added some what you're told is live recorded footage from a psychiatrist's recording of their patients.
Okay.
And some of the stuff that happens to the patients on the live recordings is weird. It's very strange, and to the point where you can't quite work out how they'd be faking it if they were trying to fake this condition they were given. And they get so weird at some points that it then cuts to the actors part because they can't show what did actually happen because it's just too much. That was pretty traumatizing. That was bizarre. But yeah, I think actual films, I've just never really found anything that works.
You should come to my house and watch The Human Centipede 2 sometime.
I've seen it. I'd rather not watch it again, but I can do.
I like the chat. The chat saying the scariest thing is Axe smell. You know, Axe deodorant, like dark chocolate or temptation. That's an interesting.
Oh god, yeah.
Hey.
God, let me see what I throw up. What else is there? What's scary as hell when you're 7 and you have a night out with your mates and you're watching it at midnight?
I didn't go on
The Ring.
night.
That's an.
I didn't go out when I was 7 either, but you know.
No, I watched The Ring when I was
time.
I was very, very young when I watched The Ring, and I remember at the time I had a CRT TV at the end of my bed. So I watched this fucking film. I go to bed, and all I can do is look at that TV and think, if that turns on, she doesn't have to kill me because I will leave this mortal plane instantly. I will spirit walk the fuck out of here because no, thank you.
Have you heard of night terrors before? What they are?
Night terrors.
Okay, so this is pretty scary. Sorry. So I watched this documentary the other night, and what it was about is it's about this thing called night terror. So what it is, if you when you go to sleep, sometimes you can get to this point where you're sort of like you're just about falling asleep, and you feel like you can't move and your body's trapped, and then you see someone like walk toward like a dark figure like walk towards you as you're lying there and you can't move. And if you watch, and there's this documentary and it's about all these people who have experienced this, and they all say that someone walks up to you and then they sort of climb on top of you, put their hands on you, and you can't do anything and you're just lying there and you're like terrified. And after I watched this documentary, I thought back to when I was younger, and I definitely had like times where I was lying there and I thought there was like a dark figure stood at the end of my bed, but obviously there actually wasn't. And one of the things they kept saying in this documentary was like, every time like someone mentions it and you talk about it, and I go to bed and I wake up like, and I have one that night. And I was watching this film like with my headphones in, closing my eyes, trying to get to sleep at night. And I was thinking, yeah, I may have had something before. And then the way they know it's like not a dream, or it is a dream, is that when you wake up and you feel like you haven't been asleep, when you look at your clock and it's only been like 5 or 10 minutes or so. So I'm lying there and I'm trying to get to sleep, and then I start to feel like I'm stuck in my bed, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, but I'm sort of, it's like a bit lucid though, because I'm like, I've just watched this documentary, so I'm like, but it felt so real, so I felt like I was getting up and like moving towards my door to like shout at my roommate to like tell him I couldn't move or something. And then I'd like open the door, and then I'd like open my mouth and I'd try and scream, and it would just be like nothing would come out, and then I'd get like sucked back onto my bed, and then I kept doing that over and over again. And at one point I thought I heard my phone ring, so I tried to reach over and I couldn't grab it, and then I just sort of lay there, and then after about, I don't know how long it was, maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, then I just sort of like woke up and I was like, whoa, and like sat up, and it felt like I hadn't been asleep at all, and I looked at my phone, it hadn't rung at all, and I was like really creeped out, and then because I just watched that documentary, I was like, well, that's what happens. But yeah, that was like the other week to me, and I really recommend you watch this documentary while falling asleep, because like that's apparently what induces it. So there you go.
Chat's mentioned that that's lucid dreaming, and yeah, I was going to say that too. Lucid dreaming is actually a really well documented phenomenon that a lot of people can actually achieve by choice.
But like,
And night terrors, what they are is you're lucid dreaming, but you're not aware you're lucid dreaming, so
Okay.
you don't realise that you're creating a feedback loop where you're freaking yourself out, and then through that creating horror for yourself. Because I had a friend who went through all that, and the reason that there's a lot of common experiences is like someone lying on top of you is because when you're lucid dreaming, you lose all muscle control.
yeah.
So it feels like you're really heavy. And if you ever get in that state again, Tim, imagine some really awesome shit, because you can genuinely, like, people have learned to create whole worlds and lives and stuff through lucid dreaming. It's really interesting for them.
I don't want to explore my mind really. Like, I don't really know.
No, me either.
It's probably
I
for the
mean,
best.
I'll imagine the human centipede happening to me while I'm lying there. Like, no, don't go near my mouth. God. But yeah, I think that was interesting. What's the chat saying? It Follows. Yeah, that's a good film as well.
I've been recommended that. I haven't seen it yet.
I do keep hearing about that one.
I hear the story. The people keep telling me the plot though, like the overall, like, oh, this is what it's about. And that's kind of hard to get on with. You know, it's kind of hard to get on board with that idea that is people have sex and ghosts happen.
I guess it'd be hard for you, Jack.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Rob's rolling in it, aren't you, Rob?
No, I've got loads of pussy. I'll show you right now. Oh, I love black pussy,
Hey, the cat's
especially.
coming back. Oh dear.
Come on, buddy. Let's go meet the internet.
You know when someone has cats, they have a good sex life. Oh, look, Jack's got a cat.
I'm not sure that's what they say, Tim.
I don't know.
Fair
I'm
enough,
pretty sure it's
everyone.
the other way around. Cats for compensation.
Hello. Hello.
Have you seen The Mummy, Jack?
The Mummy.
The original The Mummy.
Yeah, I love those films.
That's-
Except, well, the second one was a bit gay.
I think
Are
cats
they-
keep you
Are they
awake.
horror films? They were good films, but
I mean, when I watched them as a kid, I was pretty scared of them, but maybe that was
I
just
was-
Brandon Fraser's acting.
I was scared of The Wizard of Oz. I don't think that was a horror film. That was terrifying. That witch and those monkeys with wings. I would be terrified of them all the time.
Scared of the Wizard of Oz.
The Wicked Witch and the monkeys, they terrified me. And the fucking trees with the apples, man. I used to always see trees.
I hate trees and apples. Terrifying.
That's why I don't eat any fruit now. The
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz traumatized me when I was younger.
That's quite dark, Tim.
It was pretty scary.
That's some like child trauma there.
What else is it? In that film, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the child catcher.
No, okay, you
man,
know that shit's creepy though.
that terrified me. Someone
Like, how is this pedo allowed to roam around so much?
it's because if they hated children, how were they adults? I never got any of that.
And he couldn't be called like the child, like, you know, child stealer or something. It had to be, was it child snatcher?
The child catcher, I think.
Child catcher.
People like your cat in the chat.
It was a
'Cause
nice
he-
looking cat.
Is he real? Someone says. I don't know.
Yeah, he's just really docile. Come on, do something.
Right. Well, I think that was a pretty good chat about horror stuff. I think we should. Have we got any? There's not much more horror news about this week, is there? Any new horror games coming out at all? EA doing some stuff. That's probably pretty scary, but I don't think.
What, their download plan?
Tell you what is the scariest game of all
Yeah.
time is Spooky's House of Jump Scares on Steam. It's
Don't
free.
know what that is.
Never heard of
It
it.
is the scare. I won't say anything because it will scare you shitless. Spooky's House of Jump Scares. Scariest game ever.
Okay. I'll keep. I'll play that tonight. I might play that tonight. I'm not doing anything tonight.
If the cat is real, he's just asleep now. So
Oh, okay. So, as well this week, we have had Paris Game Week. So, if you don't know what Paris Game Week is actually the second largest consumer video game show in the world, which is just behind Gamescom. I think it has about 230,000 people attending each year, which is a hell of a lot of people, and probably a hell of a lot of sweat and glasses, and it probably smells really bad. So, I don't know whether you'd go. I might go sometime, but
I'll be producing those smells myself.
and partly run by PlayStation, it gives us a bit of a view over what's coming out soon. So I thought we'd have a little chat about some of the games that we're looking most forward to which are also coming out on PC later next year. So one of the first ones that I think is one of the most interesting is the game No Man's Sky. So No Man's Sky was given a release date of June 2016 for the PlayStation. It is a PlayStation first game, so that means it will be coming to PlayStation first, and it is set to be launched on PC, and it'll be after that date. But there hasn't been, as far as I'm aware, I haven't seen a date released for that yet. So No Man's Sky is an adventure survival video game, and it's developed by the British studio Hello Games. They're also known for the Joe Danger games, if you might have played them. So what makes this game interesting is, to me, I think the developers will hate you for that. Maybe not. It's sort of like Minecraft, but in space and with planets. So they've posted some big numbers. So they said in each seed there's going to be 18 quintillion planets, which is 1.8 times 10 to the power of 19. And many of them have their own sort of flora and different levels and feels to them. So by exploring the different planets, you gain abilities and information about them, which you submit to the Atlas, which is the global database of all the planets. You gain materials and blueprints to upgrade your equipment, and you can also purchase a variety of starships, and it allows you to travel deeper into the center of the galaxy or trade with other ships. And all the gameplay is procedurally generated, which is fairly interesting. So I guess that's Rob. Have you looked into No Man's Sky? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, definitely. I've been following that one kind of from the beginning. As soon as I heard about it and saw some of the first screenshots, I was pretty much enthralled by that. It looks like it's going to be a stunning game. Really, really clever ideas behind it, and I really hope that they can deliver what they've been suggesting will be included. And for the most part, the main developer seems like he definitely knows what he's talking about, and the way he's explained it, although normally confusing as hell, he really seems to know that it's going to work. So I've got faith in that one. Yeah.
So as a game developer, what do you think are the biggest challenges that face them with what they promised?
I have no idea what they're doing or how they're doing it. When he talks, it's like he, after about a minute or two of normal human speak, he goes into a foreign alien language, and everyone's just like, what? But he knows what he's on about, which is the important thing. He seems like a bit of a genius. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to have any difficulties. Just the thing that people seem hung up on is, what do you do in the game? You've got a whole universe, apparently, with no main story, no goal. I was talking to Jax before the show, like where that's worked on Terraria and Minecraft, on fairly small games in comparison, where there's not very much to guide you. This is an entire universe. I don't know if people are just going to get bored quite quickly if there's no real reason to find things or to go anywhere. That may be one of the main concerns. I don't know how other people feel.
I don't know. What's the main? There's nothing to do in Minecraft yet.
That's what I mean, and people have been happy with that. But that's, I suppose, in comparison to this quintillion universe thing, planet thing, that Minecraft's fairly small.
Minecraft was based on emergent gameplay as well. Like, I mean, when you have a voxel-based system and you can build anything, and you add new systems to that. I mean, I really enjoyed Minecraft really early in the alpha days, when you could use programs that make you fly around and you build crazy stuff. But they added in a metagame themselves. But even before then, just the process of creating, I think, it's like Legos. Like, Lego blocks don't do anything, but you put them together and you make spaceships or whatever the hell. With No Man's Sky, I'm really excited for it because it looks so different. Like, I think, aesthetic, visuals all fall into this really realistic look, this kind of Unreal Engine style. And I think it's quite nice to see something that's got, I'm not saying it has less polygons, but it looks like it's got lower, smoother polygons, like it's all kind of color shades and stuff. And a game that's encouraging you to explore, that's inviting you to look through the game and find things, I think is a really interesting idea. But like Rob's saying, it's so hard to tell what the game actually involves.
But I mean, that was my first concern when I started playing Terraria. I've not played Minecraft just because I can't get past the textures and the art style, whereas Terraria was the 2D version of it, I know, but it was just something about the pixel art, and that was stunning. I really enjoyed the overall aesthetic of it. But yeah, there's no story in it, and there's nothing to really do. But I think what you find is different people give themselves different goals, and that in itself gave me over 200 hours worth of gameplay. My goal was to get the best equipment, and beat every boss that they bring out on every update. And now that the final boss is done, I kind of feel that the game is complete for me. Other people want to build the biggest house with the biggest group of friends, so that is their end game, is when they've built the grandest house design that they can think of. So I think it's easy enough to give yourself a goal in a game which is endless and goalless, but I can't imagine it'll be too much of a problem.
What I used to do in Minecraft was that I had some friends I used to play with, and we used to go to other people's servers and just troll and just destroy everything we could as groups.
Tell you what, I haven't dressed up, but I've brought some people over dressed up for me. Does that count?
Yeah, that's fine.
We've got World War II army helmet.
Nice, okay.
That looks pretty sweet.
And then we've got the all-out Indian chief.
No internet.
Did these people just wander into your house, Jack?
No, yeah, they just wanted to show me their costumes.
Oh. Are they as disappointed as I am with your effort?
No, they know how disappointing I am already, so it's kind of hard to disappoint in disappointment, really.
It's true.
Came in with low
No
expectations.
Man's Sky, you know, in the trailer they released at Paris Games Week, did anyone else get serious shades of Blade Runner in that first line?
Yeah, I got what you mean.
I've watched it so many times, and every time I just hear Roy just being a beautiful man.
I need to. I'm looking forward to it. It reminds me a bit like Kerbal Space Program meets Minecraft, and that's like always good, isn't it? It's been out for a while now. They announced it back at like 2014. They announced it in E3, and that was back in June last year.
They've just been very shy with what they've actually shown content-wise.
Yeah.
Who's funding them? How are they still going? Like, that's a long time. They're indie, aren't they? Or I know Hello Games aren't indie, are they? They've released Joe Danger and stuff, but it's a long time to be in development. They better pull something out, I hope.
And they've definitely got the media hype behind them, so whatever happens, whether it ends up being a flop or a success, they will definitely make money, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've also got to look forward to it being on PS4 first, which is kind of annoying because I don't have one. I might have to buy a PS4 now with PlayStation VR as well, looking quite good, which was a bit at the show. Did you look at any of the PlayStation VR stuff there? Anyone? No.
No, I mean I'm a PC gamer primarily, not in an elitist way. Just that I don't feel that it's necessary to spend funds on more than one platform. Like, I'm happy with PC. I've got such a huge array of games, and I've actually, like, it's a bit of a sore point with me because I think that I feel like as a consumer I'm getting punished for not owning every console. I don't mind timed exclusives. Like, I think it's stupid, but fair enough. Like, Sony want to sell their consoles, but
Yeah.
I think the idea of exclusives, I think, is just quite an archaic thing. Because I think that because I'm not going to get a PS4. Like, I love the Soul series, huge fan, but I did not get a PS4 for Bloodborne, and they've lost the sale. I don't know if there's, maybe I'm just a weird person with this, but they lost a sale with me because they didn't release it on PC. And I think that they would only benefit from releasing on other platforms.
Yeah.
I think bottom line, they developers have to say where they want to release their games, and if you require a certain console, like, fair enough. That's who they're developing for. I think we're getting better though. With PC gaming rising all the time now. I think these get more mature gamers, and people realize, you can play so many more games on PC, and it is a bit of a better experience if you just don't mind spending a bit of time occasionally tinkering with the graphics and stuff. That can be quite fun in its own way if you have time to do that. And I don't tinker with anything. I just plug in my Xbox controller and play. I'm not. I guess I am a PC gamer, but like, I don't really act like one. Like, my fans are broken, so I just have half my case off the computer. So.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't care as long as it works. Like, my graphics.
My fans are broken. My computer's dead because it's overclocking to 4.3. So that would be awkward.
I thought about overclocking, and then I thought, oh no. That was as far as I got with it.
Sounds like you put a lot of thought into it.
Well, I built it, so that's like enough for me. That's like that makes me PC Master Race, whatever that shit is. So one of the other things that I'm sort of looking forward to is Call of Duty Black Ops 3, which is coming out. So as you know, developed by Treyarch. I think the Call of Duty series is actually getting a bit more sort of like character put into it. They seem to be like really putting a bit more effort, especially. And I hate to refer to everything back to Battlefront and how much of like a piss poor experience it's probably going to be. But compared to Battlefront now, Call of Duty and Treyarch are really smashing them out. So Battlefront, right? They were the original Call of Duty developers. They switched over to DICE, didn't they, to make Battlefront? Is that right, Jack? Yeah.
Treyarch. Well,
Not
the
Treyarch,
two
but
Infinity Ward.
Yeah.
Well, there's Infinity Ward and Treyarch with the two originals. Infinity Ward developed COD 1 and COD 2, and then Activision wanted more installments in the series than Infinity Ward wanted to produce, so they licensed Treyarch to make 3, which did quite well. And then 4 came out, which was by Infinity Ward, and then World at War was by Treyarch, and they've been swapping sort of ever since.
So my knowledge there is absolutely wrong. But anyway, the game, it looks pretty cool, I think. So Treyarch have done pretty good, I think, with this. So the single-player campaign, you can have up to 4 people playing at once. Every mission is unlocked instantly, which is a fairly interesting design choice. But again, if you want to just play through with your friends, that's great. This time there's a big focus on customization. So you can customize your style, and you can even play as a woman, which I don't really think should be like a big crazy thing, but it is. And it's good that it's happening. I think we need more sort of gender-neutral characters alongside in games, definitely. So there's... What else is coming on? There's a new class system coming out with a specialist alongside sort of normal customization. You can get the season pass for £35, which includes the zombie packs. And I did see a couple of trailers for the zombie content in it, and it looks absolutely brilliant. It looks like Left 4 Dead almost, but just like really nicely polished and new, and that looks pretty good. There is a couple more season passes to get some extras. They come up a range of prices, but the most expensive one being at roughly $199, which also includes a coaster set and a mini fridge. That sounds pretty fun.
Because you need to keep your Mountain Dew chilled somehow.
Yeah. So are you looking forward to Call of Duty? Do you think it's going to be another billion-dollar game or whatever it sells each year?
I think, well, sorry, no, Rob, you go ahead.
Yeah, it will be, and no, I couldn't care less. Nice and simple. People are going to keep buying it, and I think I stopped about 4 or 5 games ago, thankfully. Save money, it's good.
The last one looked quite good, I thought, with all the jetpacks and the bridge just falling. And the set pieces, all the single-player campaigns are always really good in those games, I thought.
I played the one it was at my friend's, so you had the one where the zombies had some exosuit, and you had exosuits as well. It was definitely different. They changed the game a lot, so can't claim that they're just keeping everything exactly the same. But the zombie, it wasn't as satisfying as the old Black Ops games I remember, where the zombies were just simple zombies when they're flying around and jetpacking at you. It kind of made it harder than it needed to be. But yeah.
And Jack, I guess so. You're more of a Battlefront player than a Call of Duty player, right?
Well, it's actually quite interesting because I was originally a Call of Duty player. I 1, 2, 3, well, and the big red one. I played 4 religiously. I was actually technically, I'm an ex-professional gamer from Call of Duty 4 because I was in a 4-man clan and we did stuff on Game Battles, which is an old sort of game ladder site, and we came 7th in Europe, so it's pretty good. And I loved Call of Duty. I loved how responsive it was. The shootings always, well, in the original games, just felt right. Like the weapons felt nicely balanced. And what I really enjoyed about 4 was that the multiplayer experience was cohesive. It was really ordered, and the map design was truly impeccable. I've not played a game since where I've played through the maps and like in Call of Duty 4, I remember only 1 or 2 of the maps I wasn't a fan of, and the rest I thought were brilliant. My problem with the series is that they've added so much to it that it's not. They haven't changed the core gameplay, so you're still playing Call of Duty. They've just added what I feel is bloat. So things like these kill streaks and these death streaks and these classes and these specialists, it becomes so convoluted and confusing. When you played COD 4, you knew that if you got 3 kills, you get radar. If you got 5 kills, you got an airstrike. If you got 7 kills without dying, you got a helicopter. And that's all there was. Whereas now it's like there's dogs and jetpacks and fart grenades and lasers, and like I can't keep up and I just never know what's happening. And it's like you get punished really hard if you're not someone who can get like so what was it when they introduced the nuke thing? I thought that was so odd that if you're a good enough player that you can consistently get 25 kills without dying, you win every game. Which obviously I understand, you know, if you're getting 25 kills without dying, you're pretty damn good. But then I felt punished because I wasn't like the pro elite Twitch scoper. I just wanted to run around and have fun. But having said that, I think Black Ops 3 is the most interesting looking game in the series since Modern Warfare 2. I think it got super stale after Modern Warfare 2. And I think what's really interesting about Black Ops is that they're doing this open mission design. So the way the levels have been set out is that it's obviously Call of Duty is famous for its scripted linear set pieces in the campaign. But this one is kind of thrown out the window and saying, well, actually, it's kind of more of an open setting in the missions. You guys can make your own routes and work together and use your special abilities to traverse the map rather than being funneled through these corridors.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be interesting to see if that makes the game better. Like, does that take away from what Call of Duty was originally? And sci-fi. I mean, they sold me on that instantly. So I'm probably going to pick it up, which for me is quite a big deal because I was adamantly against it. And yeah, like you said, a Battlefield fan after I made the switch after Black Ops 2. But I just worry because the people who made the good Call of Duty Infinity Ward, that company, those designers, they're not there anymore. The people who made Call of Duty 4 don't make Call of Duty anymore, apart from a few exceptions. And so, to me, you just got to treat it as a different game to what it used to be.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's quite interesting with it. I think.
Well, especially this one, anyway.
Yeah, the head towards like the futuristic space stuff definitely does seem a lot more interesting than the older stuff, I think. And it's all cool. You know, they can be more innovative. It's interesting how you mentioned sort of bloatware. Because if you look at something like World of Warcraft, for example, which went on for like still going on now, but it's been on for like 10 years, maybe a bit more than that now. And like those type of games, you know, they just keep adding new mechanics, they keep adding new pets, new whatever you want to play with, new spells, and you know, people want that, people like that. I think it's almost like Call of Duty is like an MMO, really, isn't it? Where people just want to come back and play the same thing and grind and grind and grind. It's like Pokemon, like you said before as well. And yeah, I think it would potentially be worth it, because a lot of these games as well, for me, like even Counter-Strike, it's just like you have to play and you're shit until you memorize the map. And then you're like pro, and that's like the end game. And then
I personally think that's like poor games design. I think if you're punished for not memorizing a game,
yeah,
I do agree. There's definitely a place that I play League of Legends, so it'd be really hypocritical to say I don't like games with a learning curve. But
yeah.
I think what made Call of Duty so enjoyable was how accessible. I used to be fucking awful at games, and I remember playing Call of Duty, and it wasn't until 4 that I really made a dent in my gaming skill. And I improved with that game because it all made sense to me. It was like, oh, there's a building over there with a second floor, so snipers are going to be there and stuff. It's not that I have to remember, oh, that's actually an area I can traverse, and oh, I can't go this way, and oh, this is the edge of the map. In Call of Duty 4, like the way maps were designed, you really knew when you were at the edge. But for instance, when I was playing Unreal Tournament Alpha recently, that game, the maps, this is very Call of Duty style, the map layout, and it's really hard to tell often, like, with the lines of travel. So I'll be looking down there waiting for some dude, and then, you know, some guy comes up behind and just caps me in the back of the head. And in a game which, like Call of Duty, which I see as a simplistic, fast arcade shooter, all this complex, like you said, MMO systems put me off, personally.
Yeah. So, yeah, okay, I guess it's simplistic in a way. But yeah, maybe not so much anymore. I don't know.
Play Arma 3 and then play Call of Duty. And you'll see what
The gameplay in Call of Duty, I think what they've done is really clever. You can clearly feel that there's some sort of auto aim going on. It locks onto you quite nice to the enemy quite nicely at certain points, and I think that's what gives people the really solid feeling that yeah, this controls really well and I'm really good. When I think half of the work in comparison to like Counter-Strike and stuff, where I think a lot of the aiming is down to whether you're good at aiming or not, I think in COD it does a little bit of that for you quite sneakily. So when you've done a good headshot, you feel as though you were in control of that good headshot. But down under, there's definitely some little aimbot there for you, helping a little bit. I'm not saying it's bad, but I think it's quite evident, and I think that is what people enjoy in it, without maybe knowing.
Jack, pro COD gamer, aimbots, aim assistance in COD, all bullshit.
Rob's right. Yeah, it's there.
Really?
Yeah. No, but you can turn it off. And what I found is that as I became better at shooters in general, I had to turn it off because it was actually starting to like make me worse at the game. Because After I played Call of Duty 4, and I moved on from the series, I played a lot of Battlefield 3, played a lot of Armored 2 and 3, a lot of Counter Strike. And what I found is that when I went back to Call of Duty, I actually had to go and turn off the auto aim because I'd be, leading a target, and then the auto aim would move it back towards them. But I didn't want that. I wanted to lead the target to then set the shot in. Because I love sniping. I've always loved sniping.
Because I remember I noticed it a few times when just wanted to shoot the guy who was closest to me coming through the door, but the auto aim thought, nah, you kind of want to shoot the guy in the background who's no threat to you. And you could feel it dragging up to the left, and then I'd get shot in the face. It's like, what the fuck? Why? I wasn't aiming at him, but yeah, that's when it became evident to me that there was something there. I didn't realise you could turn it off. Oops.
God, all these shooting games are all too difficult. I stay away on my PC from these games. But maybe I think I might go back. Call of Duty looks fun. Call of Duty looks cool. If I can muster up the courage and the resilience to stick through it and die a hell of a lot before I get any good. The only game I ever played multiplayer well was Killzone on the PlayStation 3.
Killzone was good.
Well, I played
one was amazing.
I played through. This is Killzone 2, I think, or 3. I don't know. It was on the PS3, but it was like the first one there. And I played through the single player campaign, and then I went straight into multiplayer, and I just ruined everyone. So I was like, well, there you go. And I just kept playing it because I just kept winning everything, and that made me happy. And they're the kind of games I want to play more. Just stuff
the ones that make you happy.
See, I like games that make me sad and angry. That's why I play League of Legends and Dark Souls.
You're a sadistic fuck, Jack.
People are mentioning Doom, which I think that's Doom 2. Just give me Doom 2 forever.
Doom is one of my favourite first-person games. Any Doom.
What was I like the one I remember playing one on PC years ago, and I had a torch and I was running around, and that was fun.
Doom 3 probably.
Doom 3,
Doom 3 I think it was. Yeah, that's all I can remember of it.
Yeah.
Doom 3 was cool, but it wasn't Doom anymore.
Oh right. Why?
Well, Doom 3 was a very serious game, and Doom 1 and 2 are quite tongue-in-cheek. The gore's so ridiculous. When you have a rocket launcher, you blow up the barrels, it just leaves these this puddle of red and bones, and it's really fast. You're lightning through the levels, especially Doom 2. And it's all about exploring these levels and finding hidden doors and keys and stuff. Whereas Doom 3 was your real modern FPS horror shooter style game, which was really done really well. I mean, the bit where you first get the shotgun is so fucking genius. You've been freaked out, all these monsters, whatever. You get in this room, a shotgun, lovely. Pick it up, room goes dark. You start hearing growls. That was brilliant. But I
don't think Doom will ever be Doom again. It's just
no.
There was something about everything that was in the original 2, just the little HUD, the face that made little movements, and the noises he made when you got hit, and his eye movements, and just clicking on walls, because you at some point you learned that a wall could be a door as well. You just don't see anyone. That was epic. But I mean, the new Dooms are going to be good. Well, the new Doom looks like it's going to be good. Doom 3 was good, but it just didn't have the authentic Doom feel.
To me, you can go back and play Doom 2. It's not the kind of game that you want a sequel for, or you need a sequel for. I got it on the Xbox Arcade when they released it, and my friends and I, we played so much of it. It was like we'd never played it before, because the co-op especially really brought this really easy, fun element to it. And even if you played a lot of Doom, there's no way you remember all the secret areas unless you're the Rain Man, because some of that shit was so ridiculous. Chat's mentioning Serious Sam as well, which Serious Sam and Duke Nukem, same sort of thing. I think it was a real product at the time, though, wasn't it?
More interesting is the trick. Tim, do the trick.
The trick with my hands.
Yeah. What's this?
I don't fucking know. I do know an Eric M though, so I think I could. I don't know though. I don't know what he's talking about really. One day, do the trick.
Let's hashtag it.
I think we need to hashtag this, yeah. Gotta get Tim to do the trick.
Hey, Rob, this is just vindication for you, isn't it?
No, don't bring that back up.
If you sing, Rob, I'll do the trick.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't say anything. I just mentioned vindication.
Yep, can't imagine why. But yeah, Doom, Serious Sam, good games.
Yeah, great games.
So sticking on with the Paris Games Week. So another big thing that I've always enjoyed, and I think everyone likes, is music games. So we got Rock Band, we got Guitar Hero. Jack, Rock Band or Guitar Hero?
Rock Band all the way.
Rob, either. Do they not immersive enough for you? Do they not do they lack certain elements that just ruin it completely?
I enjoyed Guitar Hero games quite a lot actually. I used to work in PC World and I'd play it on the shop floor on my lunch breaks. Have a little crowd. It was quite fun.
I think Guitar Hero, that's 2, and then Rock Band 1. So Guitar Hero wins. Too bad there's no more Guitar Hero games, but there is a new Rock Band game coming out. So at PlayStation Week, they have announced Rock Band 4 coming out. The set list does look pretty cool. So there's Aerosmith, U2, not so great. You've got Van Halen, even Elvis Presley is on it. So there's a big range of music. They've got a couple of new features coming with this time. So we have the freestyle guitar solos, which I think will look quite interesting to see whether, because whenever I hear freestyle in these kind of games, it's like, how can you really freestyle? How do you score freestyling? Because it's a game. I guess you can maybe tap buttons in time, but yeah, I don't know about that. They've also got some brand new hardware with them. So they've got new accelerometers and the things, so you can tilt more, I guess, or tilt a bit. I don't know. I guess that affects the sound some bit. Do you get more points if you play with it like upside down behind your back? Hopefully. If not, I'll probably be pretty disappointed. The fret buttons are more responsive, so I don't know, can you press them down a bit and a bit more? That'd be pretty cool. And they're Bluetooth and wireless controllers, no more USB adapters, which is a long time coming and should have been in the original one, so that's another good call. You can also play on your old Guitar Hero and your old Rock Band stuff, so if you don't want to enjoy any of the new hardware or buy any of it, you can still play across that, and you can also download all the DLC and all the previous backlog of songs that you had from the other games, which is an absolutely brilliant feature. Also, you can freestyle on your vocals as well. So, I mean, I freestyle vocals whenever I play Rock Band, so I guess that's the same. And yeah, I think that's it really. There's not really. I think there's a couple new modes they've released as well from Quick Play. But apart from that, I think hopefully it looks like a bit of a solid installment into the Rock Band series, and it'll be something to enjoy. Jack, are you looking forward to it?
I am and I'm not. I have such a love-hate relationship with this series because while I'm in a band, so I've got to say that first of all, because I think if you're a musician and you play these games, you see them very differently to people just playing them.
Yeah.
So when I played Guitar Hero 3, yeah, I enjoyed it, but to me it was like playing whack-a-mole with a weird controller, essentially. And what was really exciting for Rock Band when I played it at university as friends, he got the full kit, so the Pro, the everything, and so the drum kit I was playing had a snare pad, 3 tom pads, cymbal pads, a hi-hat, 2 like proper metal double bass pedals. So while they didn't have the bounce and the feel of a normal drum kit, what it did have was the actual mechanics of it. And I've never played drums in my life, and I always air drum because I love the instrument, and this was the first time I ever felt like I was playing drums, and it got to the point where I played it so much now I can go and play on a proper drum kit and play songs that I learnt on Rock Band. I can play Colony of Bertrand by Macedon because of, well, some of it because of Rock Band. The problem I have with the series is mainly that it's so expensive to get into that I can't. Like I think it was like $200 for the full kit and caboodle for this one.
Wow. That's
a huge amount of money. And you got to really evaluate: am I going to use it enough? I constantly hop between games. I think what I'll do is wait for it to go down in price, or maybe get old peripherals. Because the one thing that is great is that it brings back couch co-op in a big way. It was really fun and exciting, and I met and hung out with a lot of people. A lot more than I would have if I didn't have Rock Band, because they were like, Jack, come outdoors, and I'd say, no, fuck you, I'm staying in here. And they'd say, no, look, we've got video games, and I go, okay. And then I just really hope that the game does better than it has before, because I just think people are losing their interest in music games in general.
Yeah.
Honestly, and they're trying to redesign their guitars. What I read, that they're adding like more fret buttons, but the point is that it's still a simulation. It's still really simplistic than having 25 frets or whatever it is and 6+ strings. And I think the only reason I enjoy Rock Band over Guitar Hero is because in Rock Band I can play the drums. Like, that's what is happening. Whereas in Guitar Hero I'm just playing a video game with a peripheral, I guess.
I like how you started the criticism, but like before we go into this, I'm actually in a band, and it's nothing like being in a real band. But
No, that's it. Like it's I really enjoy the feeling of performing, and when you're playing a song with a group of people and you guys lock in together, it's such an exciting feeling, even at band practice when there's no one there. And
Yeah.
Rock Band simulated that for me, and it was the first time it ever come close. Whereas Guitar Hero was just a game to me.
I think I can agree. Rock Band definitely does simulate the things that I wish that I was actually good at, apart from the drums, because like the drums are so difficult. It's like exactly like same, I think, and it's just so. But like, yeah, I remember playing Guitar Hero 3 and playing Through the Fire and the Flames. I got it done on medium, and then I couldn't get it done on hard, which is kind of sad. But I did all the other songs next bit. I think my song was like Paint It Black on Guitar Hero 3, so I could do that like perfect. I'd destroy anyone in that one song. I just focused on one song mainly on that game just to get good at it, and then that was enough for me, I think.
I got 93% on. Sorry, Rob.
Go Jacks.
I got 93% on that Dragon Force song on Guitar Hero 3
Nice.
with my strum bar broken, so I could only do it down. So I was just
Oh, it took me so long to work out that you should strum up and down to go quicker. And someone told me after they saw me playing, and I was like, "Oh right, that's how you get better." Oh right, good. And then I got a lot better then. Yeah, wasn't there? Tiego's mentioned in the chat there was a piano. Wasn't there? One of them?
yeah, there was that shit was hard. Oh my god, like on Expert, that was a mind fuck. I couldn't believe it.
I have a physical piano, and I don't think I could play piano in Rock Band. How do you? Is it able to the? I mean, I think eventually there's going to be music, and you'll just be playing actual songs and actual instruments.
It's important to tell people that we've had this conversation with Tim. It's a keyboard, not a piano.
So I have right. I have a piano, an electric
Keyboard.
piano, not a keyboard.
No, stop
And it's-
right there.
Because it's
So
on.
there we go. It's a keyboard.
It's not. It's got a proper stand. It's got weighted keys. It's basically a piano. It's not a keyboard.
Actually, I have to kind of agree with Tim there, because if an electric guitar is still a guitar, then if that's got like weighted keys, hang on, but does it still use the same mechanics to produce sound? Like, because guitar still uses strings, so is your electronic piano got strings in it that records electrically?
Probably.
I don't know if we can take that as an official answer, Tim.
Well, I don't know. It's a piano. It's got weighted keys. It basically does algorithms inside it that simulates the same stuff that you would have happening on a normal string, thus making it a piano, which is electric, I would say.
Like a keyboard.
It's not a keyboard.
Sense.
It's more than a
Keyboardish.
keyboard. It's expensive. I spent loads of money on it.
Keyboards are fucking expensive.
Yeah, but this is a piano. This isn't a keyboard.
Okay, well, you shine on, you crazy diamond.
It's a keyboard. I mean, it's not a keyboard. It's a piano.
Well,
That wasn't a sport you said. No. Yeah, I want to get it. Are you going to buy a PS4?
Oh, we've got input from chat.
I agree with Diego. Yeah, we can't ignore chat. As you said, this is funded on the people watching us in chat. Diego must be right.
What's Tiago saying?
And Mark's
Got a keyboard.
chimed in, it's a synth, which is, yeah, there you
It's
go.
not a synth. There's no synth on it. It's just got like one piano sound. 'Cause there's a
You just told us
piano.
that electronically synthesizes piano sounds.
My mum's watching this and she just texted me that we do have a real piano at home as well. But
There you go.
There you
But
go,
my
Tim. Why didn't you
keyboard-
mention that?
my keyboard.
Why lie about a keyboard being a piano when you have an actual
Yeah.
piano?
Well, because my keyboard isn't just a keyboard. I feel like it's more than that. I feel like it's underselling it if it's if you're just calling it a
The
keyboard.
way of life, not a keyboard. There's dozens of us.
I'll tell you what. Next week I'll play the keyboard. Rob, you can sing, and Jack, you can back up vocals for Rob, because I'm sure whatever Rob has to do
I
is
don't know if screaming vocals will come across very well on the internet.
you can scream behind Rob doing like really high pitch. It would be like
I don't think my neighbours would approve of that. They already think I summoned Satan. Let's not add to the idea.
Rather than singing, I can try and get the saxophone out again. That would be.
You got a
slightly less painful for
saxophone. Oh my
people.
god, we've got a band here. Why did no one think of this before?
I have a little ukulele. We could go full redneck with it.
We're doing it. Talking about games,
Yeah.
we're doing it all wrong. We should have
Ding
done this at the
ding
beginning.
ding ding ding.
Who needs Rock Band when you got Google Hangouts?
There you go. Yeah. There's actually a setting in
Awesome.
Google Hangouts which you can get the mic to record like a band and like stream the audio properly.
Well, you can see in the background I've got many electric guitars and basses and amps ready to go. So
There we go.
I was just sat there waiting. Nice.
I like it how through talking about rock band, we just decided to set up a real band.
Yeah.
Actual music. That's what. This is what every discussion about rock band should lead to. If it's like an actually good discussion about music.
well, rock band's the reason I'm in a band now. I was in a band when I was a teenager, but we were terrible, and I was just Kurt Cobain's cool, man. I'm going to be him without the shooting in the face. And yeah, it was terrible, and I stopped. And then when I played Rock Band, because I developed like timing properly and stuff, yeah, then after I moved away from uni and I didn't have the money to play Rock Band, I was like, well, I'll do the next best thing and do an actual band and actually bother learning a skill.
And yeah, I mean, I used to have some friends at school that were in a band, and I once turned up with my guitar, and they were all way better than me, so I just ended up stood there as like a awkward member, and then tried to do a bit of singing. It wasn't very good. But I did actually sing in front of 3,000 people.
Nice.
The Bridgewater Hall for my school speech night. I sang "Don't Look Back in Anger" by Oasis, and like "Praise You" by Fatboy Slim, and another Oasis song which went really horribly. "Live Forever," man. I was really bad.
Getting real emotional with it, were you?
I just want to live forever. I did that in front of like 3,000. I went to an all-boys rugby school, just to put it in perspective as well.
Lovely.
So I got, yeah, I definitely took a lot of shit for that. But
Good.
YOLO.
Yeah.
That was before YOLO, and I was YOLOing it, just to say as well.
I was in a musical, the musical Fame. I sung the song that's, was it I Can't Keep It Down, I believe it's called. And it's entirely about erections. And I was 14, 15, so I just was like, not comfortable with myself, like, what is sex, what's going on, why do I like women now? And I was part of a stage school, and I said to them, look, I don't want to sing, I don't want to dance. They go, you can be the funny character who just makes jokes. Brilliant. What they didn't tell me is that the third song in the musical is a song that I have to sing in front of all my family and friends about, my boner. So that really gets rid of stage fright quite quickly once you do that, I think.
It puts more in perspective why you live alone and have a cat as well.
Yeah, I'm dying. They pushed me out.
So, keeping on the topic of cool music games, Avicii, the one and only, has. I actually saw a bit of Avicii earlier this year at Creamfields, not by choice, but I was just walking past the tent. But I listened to some of his sets before I went because I thought, people like him. No, it's not really my thing that much. But he's got a music rhythm game coming out called Vector, and it's also in collaboration with Hello Games. It's going to be a PlayStation exclusive coming out, and the release date is 2016, featuring exclusive remixes from Avicii, which I imagine will sound just like all his other songs, but I don't know, a bit of a different tempo, maybe. I don't know. They all sound the same anyway. Apparently, we saw a video of it, which didn't really tell us much. It looks a bit like Audio Surf, but that's all I could tell from it. Apparently, it's got multiplayer in it as well, so I guess you can ride songs with your friends. So, from words directly from the CEO of Hello Games, said that the idea is it's a responsive experience where you and your friends' performance not only affects the race and final rankings, but will also bring dynamic changes to the music and the environment, which will make each race feel like your own little remix version of that particular track. Oh, so I like that. I think if you like Avicii's music and you just want to hear it over and over, I bought DJ Hero just to listen to the Daft Punk mixes at the end, and they were absolutely brilliant. So if you're an Avicii fan, I reckon this is the game to pick up. Rob, I bet you love Avicii.
I don't know what Avicii is. Someone's used the word pop, which is quite possibly why I don't know what it is. And
it's like one step away from dubstep, so I can really picture you.
As someone who listens to dubstep, I want to just like cram that completely. I don't think he's one step away from dubstep. He's more like one step away from Fatboy Slim if he was 12.
Okay, I do like Fatboy Slim, so that is kind of selling it.
Now I feel like I'm giving him too much credit. He's not as good as Fatboy Slim. He's like...
No, I wouldn't have assumed that, but better than pop and not dubstep.
There's one song I really like by him, which has got stuck in my... And I only know it because it has a 360 video for it on YouTube, and because we does lots of VR stuff, that was like one of the first ones to do, and I send it to people because I quite like the song. But they all do sound the same. Jack, I imagine, do you know what an Avicii is?
I've looked on the internet and found out it's actually a human being, which was really exciting. When I was at university and I liked to party, yeah, I loved electro music, but I've kind of gone off it now. It does look interesting. I liked Audio Surf. It looks a bit like Nitronic Rush, if anyone played that, which was ridiculous, super fun. You basically control a car through Tron cityscapes, and you do mad tricks and sounds happens. What I think is really strange is that it seems like I don't understand who the audience for this game is necessarily. It's obviously a puzzle gamer, but directed towards fans of Avicii, because the way they've presented it is that there's a real union between the music and the aesthetics and the gameplay.
I love like audio games. One of my favorite games ever was oh no, I can't remember what it's called, on the DS. Rhythm Heaven. Rhythm Heaven is basically a game on the DS where you play different mini games and you've got to do action, so you've got to like flick and tap and do different things in time with the music. And that is literally one of my favorite games ever. And like the reason I love it is just because you're doing stuff in time. That's why I love Guitar Hero. Anything I can just flick and do in time, and games like that, I just fall in love with.
Dance Revolution.
No, I don't have foot coordination. I can tap and like tick things, but nothing more. And that was cool. So if it's a game where I'm like doing stuff to the music and it's changing a bit as I'm doing stuff, I'm gonna be a bit creative, and it also like screws me when I mess up. I think I quite enjoy it. I'm gonna buy this game just to see. Actually, I need to buy a PS4, don't I? Oh.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
I said I was thinking about buying one. Apparently, it's destroying the Xbox One now, so I might get one. But
when they make a game like this game that Avicii's making, about a band like Martyr Defiled or something real heavy, then call me, because if we're talking deathcore and it's like thundering drums and chuggy guitars, then yeah, I'll be very into that. But I don't really listen to cool music. I just like angry Satan music.
I think I'll probably be the only person in the world, apart from Avicii, who would be buying a PS4 for his game. And because of that, Avicii, man, we love your game. If you're watching, or if you watch this video when we upload it after, if you want to give me a PS4 and a free copy of the game, and we will spread it to our audience. I think you're amazing. I love your music.
I'm sorry that I don't know who you are, but I would like a PS4 as well.
One day. That's a sponsor in the bag there, I think.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch with his agent about his game. But no, I do hope it's good. I mean, even if it's Avicii, people can argue that's a bit of a, maybe a bit of a knockoff, a bit of a, not a proper game. But give it a bit of respect, give it a chance. Let's not write it off just yet.
Well, it's quite hard to judge though, really, what the game entails, because the video is quite short. I just think the thing is that so far, from what I have seen in that one video from Paris Games Week, is that it just doesn't seem to stand up by its own merits. It seems to be using Avicii's brand and calling to mind things like F-Zero, Extreme G, and Audio Surf, and it just doesn't seem fresh to me, as just from a purely gamer standpoint.
Maybe. We'll just have to see. Since we started talking about Avicii, our viewers has actually dipped the lowest at any point of the show. So I don't know if people are that interested in Avicii. Maybe we should move on to something else. But still, we'll keep talking about you, Avicii. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Okay. So the next fairly interesting thing, to go a bit away from Paris Game Week, is that EA this week they're going to be offering a completely free 10-hour trial for the Need for Speed reboot, which is going to be coming out. You can get it about 5 days before release, and you can also get it. You can play 10 hours for free. The download size is about 19 gig, and the trial includes full access to all the games and all the cars. If you want to carry on playing after, you can then, all your progression carries on, and you also, if you're a member of EA, you get 10% off their games through their perk system. I think for this, it's very, very, very interesting. So to give you 10 hours to play a game for free, I think if I don't think I play most games for 10 hours. I mean, I'd like to think I do, but I definitely don't. And is this accessible only through EA's $4.99 a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not completely free.
It's not completely free. Okay.
You kind of I guess the reason they obviously feel safe offering this is that if you're already a fan of EA enough to give them $5 a month, 10 hours, you're probably going to get that game. Do you know what I mean? I think if someone's trying out Need for Speed on EA Access, it's highly unlikely. I'm not going to try out a Need for Speed game because I'm not a racing fan. I think you either play Need for Speed or you don't. I don't really know anyone who's like, oh yeah, Need for Speed, I'll check this one out. So I think it's quite a smart move from them because it looks good PR wise. EA, not great PR in the last few years. And I think it's quite clever because they're still safeguarded, and even if someone doesn't buy the game, they've still made money off that user.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I think I don't know. Would I pay £5 for Need for Speed? Like 10
Well,
hours,
the thing is, you
probably.
also gain access to all their catalogue of games. I think FIFA 15, like everything up to that, you can play. So you can download and play, like sort of Netflix style, like because you're subscribed. You get 10% off new purchases. So I mean, you make back your month subscription if you buy that game. I just think that, yeah, it's obviously directly for the existing fan base of the game. EA are creating goodwill because it's a reboot, this Need for Speed. It's not a continuation of the series. So I think what they're trying to do is trying to engender their existing user base for that game in a positive way towards their company.
It's a good one to do it on because I did used to play the Need for Speed games, and that was probably the last good one that was made. So yeah, it would be the one that I would be interested in maybe seeing if they'd done it correctly again. But I would be hesitant to put money into it because they've had a bad track record since that one. The original, not the remaster. So yeah, it's quite an interesting one to do this demo on because that's what it is. It's a demo. They used to exist. It's a thing.
It's a full game demo, though.
Demo CDs as well.
Yeah.
Like a magazine, you'd have 20 games to play.
I used to hate them.
I used to love
Any
the demo
game
CDs.
Any game that lets me play 2 minutes and then kicks me off it, I just want to.
Weren't we talking about entitlement a week ago, Tim?
Yeah.
I don't want anything for free. I either want to buy it and want it, or I don't want it.
I see.
God. And I guess finally this week, so Assassin's Creed Syndicate was released on a final note, and it was the worst sales ever in the UK that they've had in the launch of Assassin's Creed game. For fans of the series like me, this is, outrageous. It's a disaster. Like any good fan of Assassin's Creed, I've already bought the game. I've yet to play it, but I've bought it. In their time of need, I'm supporting the game. And yeah, I guess because they've released so many, that there's it's just getting to the point where people may be getting a bit fed up of it. But I don't know.
Finally.
That's some euphemistic language right there. People are only just starting to think maybe Assassin's Creed is worn thin.
Yeah.
They went to boats, and now they've taken boats away, and they put nothing new in. And
That's what I mean. That's the last time they introduced an interesting mechanic, and then they've taken it out since, and they haven't added something in.
You can ride in horse carts now. That's amazing.
Oh wow.
They need to fix that. It's such a good game series that they're ruining now. Too long, too much time. I think they spent doing.
They need to have wrapped it up 5 games ago on a good finishing point.
5 games
and
ago.
Started something new.
Yeah, I agree.
Too late for that because they've already made 11 Assassin's Creeds, 12.
Oh, I did actually know these numbers. Did we do this last week? I can't remember.
Yes.
I didn't. Yeah, we did, didn't we? I can't remember at all. 12. I was looking at the chat. Nilesh, he played Assassin's Creed Rogue, which is a good game. I think it's better than Black Flag. So if you're gonna pick up Black Flag or Rogue, pick up Rogue because it's just a bit better. The story's a lot better as well. You actually go Rogue, surprisingly, but it's the story's a lot better than the original Black Flag game, and the gameplay is identical. So go for that. But yeah, Assassin's Creed. I'll let you know what I think of it, but I'm sure it won't. I'm sure it would neither disappoint nor impress as much as the other Assassin's Creeds have.
Well, especially after watching Paris Games Week. I mean, the only game that I saw there at Paris Games Week that I thought, oh, that's just the same shit again, was Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Which I love that game series, and that's the only game that has pushed me to nearly buy a PS4 was seeing that one come out because it just looks like 2 again. Then you see things like Horizon Zero Dawn, Wild. Yes, it's the survival genre, this kind of Ark Survival Evolved thing again, but it's nice to see these fresh universes. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn looks really interesting because it's kind of that old prehistoric setting, but everything's machinery, so it's kind of a conglomeration of futuristic weaponry and prehistoric methods of hunter-gatherer. And Wild is the one where you play as a shaman, and you can take control of animals, and they all have different abilities and stuff. And it's a really open experience where the idea is you can, take control of animals and use their abilities, and you can use in the video they showed you him taking control of like an eagle, flying over, spotting some monsters, some animals he needs to find, then getting that animal, then riding a fucking bear into a camp after summoning a flock of crows and beating people up with a bear. Now that is exciting, and I think there's we need more games that are really pushing stuff, like Boundless as well. Yes, it may look a bit like Minecraft and that, but I think stuff like that is what people need to put the focus on, not these franchises. I think franchises need to earn their sales, which they don't anymore.
Yeah.
Just looking at it, it's actually quite amusing, including all of the titles. There's been 15 Assassin's Creed.
Wow.
15.
They've done them one a year.
What amuses me the most is that before Assassin's Creed 3, there were 7 games. 7 games before Assassin's Creed 3, including Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed 2, and then the 3 sort of spin-offs of 2, and some other random games. 7.
If they're
How do you
making
get
that
7 games before your 3rd actual game title? That's insane.
It must just be pure class gameplay. I don't think you can argue with that, can you? Keep releasing games. That's what people want, man. Just keep giving the people what they want. That's it.
Crazy.
Cool. Well, thanks to everyone for joining us this week. I think it's definitely been an interesting chat. If you do have any feedback for us, do feel free to leave a comment after this video. And I'm sure Rob and Jack both have a good time today. Yeah?
I'm going to go get so drunk I can't feel my face.
I'm gonna walk down the street with this. I must have walked past about 1 million different costumes. Yeah, I can't even remember what they are now. I'm too tired. I sprinted here. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go back now. But thanks everyone in the chat for watching. Do catch us again next week. Next week we'll be on. We could do 5 o'clock again. Should we do 5 o'clock again? Or should we do 4?
4 o'clock seems maybe preferable.
Yeah? Okay. So, yeah, we'll be back next week at 4 o'clock in the UK time. So that's an hour earlier than we started today. Thanks to Tismic, Tiago, Mark, LK Gamer, everyone I can see in the chat right now. And a special thanks to Nilesh, I think, who won the prize. Am I right?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, he won a topple of Shogun. So, Nilesh, if you want to send me a message on YouTube directly to me, then I'll send you across that key next week. And thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you again in the not too distant future. And have a good Halloween.
Cheers, guys. Happy Halloween.
Have a good one.
May it be spoopy and full of ghosts.
Bye.